Hello, girls and boys. I'm your Peter Pan storyteller. When you hear this sound, you turn the page. Now, let's read the story together. Here we go. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Snow White, beautiful, beautiful Snow White, loved by all, always called beautiful Snow White, loveliest princess of all.
In a faraway land long, long ago, there lived a little princess called Snow White. She had long, dark hair and skin as white as snow. Every morning, all the little birds would gather at Snow White's window and sing this little song. Oh, there's nothing like a song to start the day right. Pucker up your lips and whistle at the sunlight.
Oh hum, hum a happy song. Oh hum, nothing can go wrong.
Oh, there's nothing like a song to start the day right. Snow White was very happy and loved everyone, but she didn't know that her stepmother, the Queen, who was also very beautiful, was jealous of her. Each night the Queen would sit in front of her magic mirror and ask,
Oh, mirror, mirror on the wall, am I most beautiful of all?
Oh, lovely Queen, thou art so fair, in all the land none can compare. This would make the Queen very happy, for she knew the magic mirror would speak only the truth. Many years passed, and Snow White grew more and more beautiful. Then one day the Queen spoke again to the magic mirror.
Oh, mirror, mirror on the wall, am I most beautiful of all?
Oh, lovely Queen, though you are fair, with Snow White you can't compare. The Queen went into a jealous rage and ordered a hunter to take Snow White into the forest and leave her there. So the very next morning, the hunter took Snow White far into the woods and left her there.
Poor Snow White, lost in the wood. Poor Snow White, so misunderstood. What will she eat and where will she sleep? Poor Snow White, lost in the wood.
Snow White wandered through the forest until she was so tired and hungry she couldn't go any farther. Just then she saw a pretty little cottage. She knocked on the door, and when no one answered, she went in. She sat down in a chair by the fire, and it wasn't long before she fell fast asleep.
Out of the woods came 7 little men. One at a time they knocked at the door. Open the door, open the door.
When Snow White opened the door, she was frightened. There before her were 7 little dwarfs, all standing in a row.
We're 7 little dwarfs, no bigger than your thumb. Fiddle-dee-dee, fiddle-dee-die, fiddle-dee-dum-dum. We're 7 little dwarfs, we're 7 just like one. Fiddle-dee-dee, fiddle-dee-die, fiddle-dee-dum-dum. Our names are Dumpy, Pot, and Pan, Slap and Happy, Whiz and Wham. We're 7 little dwarfs, no bigger than your thumb. Fiddle-dee-dee, fiddle-dee-die, fiddle-dee-dum-dum. Fiddle-dee-dee, fiddle-dee-die, fiddle-dee-dum.
Into the cottage came the 7 dwarfs. They were very angry. But upon seeing the beautiful young princess Snow White, they all fell in love with her. And they decided to let her stay with them as long as she wished. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs lived very happily together in the little white cottage. One day, the Queen sat in front of her magic mirror and asked,
Oh, mirror, mirror, tell me tonight, whatever happened to Snow White?
Snow White lives in the forest glen, in a pretty little cottage with 7 little men. When the queen found where Snow White was living, she dressed up like an old woman and went to Snow White's door and gave her a poisoned apple. No sooner than Snow White had taken the first bite of the apple, a terrible thing happened. She fell to the floor in a deep, deep sleep with part of the apple still in her mouth. That evening, when the 7 little dwarfs came home and found Snow White lying on the floor, they thought she was dead. And they decided to dress her in a shimmering golden dress and put her into a pure glass case. The next day, a handsome prince who was riding in the forest stopped at the cottage. And when he saw the lovely Snow White, he couldn't believe his eyes. He lifted the lid of the glass case, and in so doing, knocked the poison apple from her lips, and Snow White came to life. Upon seeing Snow White alive, the prince asked her to be his bride. And so Snow White and the 7 dwarfs went with the prince to the great palace, where they lived happily ever after.
Snow White, loveliest princess